So today I want to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to ask you to share this far and wide because you have underwritten the comic book industry. That's right, you. See, over the last few years, mainstream comic companies have been telling consumers that they don't need them, and yet these same companies, they borrowed tens of millions of dollars in PPP loans. These are the same companies that endorse practices from their so-called professionals that allow blocking consumers by the tens of thousands, calling them ists, calling them phobes, but saying, hey, this didn't knock it down. It was the beer bug that did it. So today, what you and I are going to do is simple. We are going to disprove this narrative by looking at one specific company and tearing their numbers apart. And even if you don't care about comics, you should care about this because you paid for these companies to run. They can't do it themselves. And the very people that could make them money, the consumers, they run them off by the droves. So hey there. Now briefly, I want to remind folks that we have a comic book. We're not associated with the comic book industry, and because we talk about stuff like this, well, I'll leave you quotes like that. That's right. These people, they want to bad guy you because, hey, you want to tell the truth, but that's okay. We don't need them. We need you. So check out our product and thank you in advance. So like I said at the beginning of this, comic book companies have taken advantage of current social situation to get underwritten by you. That's right, by you. You have paid them tens of millions of dollars that they cannot repay. Now, the first time I became aware of this was because of the exciting world of stock reports, where I was looking at IDW, the fourth largest publisher of comics, and I started wondering, how do you go from losing $6.8 million in one quarter to losing only $0.4 million in the next quarter? When I say loss, let me be clear on this too. I'm not talking about a reduction in revenue or saying you made $6.8 million less. I'm saying that's how much money they made for the quarter. Now, curious about this, I started looking through their stock reports, and after operational headlines, they had a beer bug overview of impact. IDW, through its subsidiaries, IDW received Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP loans of $3 million in aggregate, comprising $1.2 million related to the core IDW Entertainment and IDW Publishing operations, and $1.8 million for CTM. The latter was received shortly after quarter close and is not reflected in the second quarter financials. The company intends to utilize the substantial majority of proceeds to compensate furloughed personnel and in other expense categories eligible for forgiveness. So you paid $1.2 million as a taxpayer for the following. IDW Entertainment. Industry-wide production suspensions halted filming and production of Winona Earp Season 4 after the completion of 6 of 12 episodes. IDW Entertainment continued developing, packaging, and pitching from its pipeline on a remote basis. So, you paid part of your money to make a sci-fi channel show. Isn't that fun? And then the production portion. Halted most new product releases through the direct comic market in late March when Diamond, the comic industry's sole direct market distributor, suspended operations. IDW Productions pivoted its focus on back catalog, digital sales, direct-to-customer sales, foreign sales, and book market channels. IDW Publishing has extended full returnability on all new direct marketing releases through July to encourage orders from retailers. IDW Publishing furloughed or laid off approximately 20% of its workforce during the quarter. The majority of furloughed employees, they have since been recalled. But it doesn't talk about paying them in there, does it? Additionally, they were given $1.8 million for CTM, something that loses money hand over fist every year, but hey, now you're underwriting it. Why? Because suspended operations and furloughed approximately 90% of its workforce in March. Most clients closed and travel and tourism came to a halt. CTM has since resumed operations in both the U.S. and Canada on a limited basis. Fun times, huh? Fun time. Now, they are going to blame all of their problems on the beer bug, despite the fact that the last time that they made profit was in 2016. You can see that here. Fiscal year ended October 31st, 2016. They made $3.669 million. So look, profitability. 2017, you notice this is in brackets here. They lose. This is when they start. They never recover, but they lose around $800,000. Now, this financial insolvency, it would have been been highlighted at a more egregious level had it not been for bank loans. You can see how much money they were borrowing at the time, too. $6 million. They do things with their stock, all kinds of things that hide all the problems for a year. Now, at the time, this company has an equity of about $50 million. So we're not talking about a monster company out here, but still, it's pretty good size. But by the end of the next year, they're going to be down to $16.492 million. Now, what exactly does that mean, you might ask? Well, if you look at those fiscal year ended October 31st, 2017, again, you see the $800,000 in loss. Well, if you look at 2018, this is their entire year, they lost $36,022,000. That's right, their entire year, they lose $36 million plus. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, that umbrella guy, this company sounds like a great investment. Well, we're not even touching the surface of what's there either. I mean, here is the future maturity of bank loans. So these are their bank loans listed in that same report. For 2019, their future maturities is $19,238,000. 2020, $7 million. 2021, $3.5 million. So the future maturity of bank loans total here is almost $30 million. And you're giving this company $3 million of taxpayer revenue. Now, amazingly, this company, they try to spin the next year by saying, hey, we're doing a lot better. Why? Because we lost less money. Fiscal year ended October 31st. You can see the last year here, they lost $36 million plus dollars. Well, in 2019, they're losing money hand over fist, but they're only losing $26.429 million. So that they considered successful. Imagine calling losing almost $26.5 million doing better. Ugh. Now, as if that's not bad enough, we know exactly how much money is being lost by each portion that you are giving money to. CTM, for example, they lost $13,425,000, and you gave them $1.8 million of taxpayer revenue. Fun times. You'll never see that money again. Now, out of these two portions, you have entertainment losing $20,175,000, and publishing losing $2,422,000. They received $1.2 million. Again, never will see that money again. They can't make money at all. Now, if you're asking yourself, why didn't that company go under right then? Well, it's because they issued more common stock. That's right, they printed more. So you have $23.6 million more stock created, so it offsets the $26.492 million that they lose, and they still maintain on paper equity, even though this company is drowning. Now, these losses, they continue into 2020 as well, way before the beer bug ever touches the comic book industry. You have them in Q1 2020 losing $6.8 million. So a company drops $6.8 million one quarter, and they're given $3 million of taxpayer money to offset the costs that they're seeing here. What's even more insane is that after taking your money, after not having to pay people and not creating as many projects, that's what the direct cost of revenue is, they still lose money. They're still not profitable. But hey, somehow in some way, that's your fault, and you should give this company money. And that is the entire comic book industry in a nutshell. They have borrowed tens of millions of dollars that they cannot repay while going out and treating their customers like trash. See, the reality is, while you underwrite these companies, and they're more than happy to take your money, as a potential consumer, they will denigrate you and tell you that they're better than you. Here's Mark Wade making that very clear. He's talking about the idea of block botting, or if you follow me on Twitter and they don't like me, well, they don't like you either. No one thinks that choice B, they're talking about block botting people or blockchaining, is a great solution, but under certain circumstances and for certain creators, it beats the hell out of the other two. Yes, chain or bots sometimes result in unfair situations where a genuinely civil fan can no longer follow a creator on social media. But that was a privilege to begin with, not a God-given right. It was a privilege to interact with your betters there. You better understand that, even though they can't pay the bills. Remember, though, this is the same industry that'll come up with a label like Comicsgate to deflect away from industry problems just like this. Then they'll say anyone that's attached to that label, they are a harasser of. And anyone that publishes those folks, you're in to the A to the Z to the I's. They don't want your money, but they're sinking, and they'll get your money another way. Isn't that fascinating? We should spread this word far and wide. But anyway, you tell me what you think about this. So to close this out, this is our second comic. Link is in the description. And the reason we have this is simple. People are walking away from comics in droves, and they need something to walk toward. Because this industry, it doesn't belong to those people. It belongs to the consumer. So check this out if you'd like. Help us share this too. Because saying what I just said, that makes us the bad guy. But that's okay. I'll be their bad guy because they don't matter. You do. I also want to say thank you. I appreciate you. You make these endeavors possible. Without you, none of this stuff works. Not enough people say that. So thank you. Appreciate you. And we'll do this again later. Thanks.